What is going on, everybody? I hope you guys are all having an amazing day. Welcome to another video. I am going to be talking about some Lightroom tips today. Lightroom Classic is what I edit all of my photos in. Today I'm going to talk about how to speed up your process, what to do, how to kind of edit the photos a little bit faster but with efficiency as well. And then I'm going to break down how I edit pictures as well, how, like, from start to finish, how I edit. Every photo shoot I go on, every single picture basically is different in my opinion. There's going to be some tweak to it, whether the light's different, the shadows I want here are different, the colors are different that I want to boost or get rid of, the saturation. But there is pretty much a few presets that I start with for everything and just build it from there. So I'm also going to show you guys how to make your own preset inside of Lightroom. Let's go ahead and let's get into Lightroom, and I'll show you guys how I edit pictures. So we are in Lightroom right now. If you can tell, there's some of these pictures that I've already done. This is a photo shoot that I did a few days ago. Everything that I already edited and that I liked was pushed to being 5 stars. All you got to do whenever you import your pictures, it's going to come in this big layout. Just go up to the top up here and select develop, and I like to hit this little thing so it goes away. So me as a shooter, I take multiple pictures in the same instance. I hold down my shutter because I said it in a few videos, but being out of focus is such a huge thing to me. Right here, this is what I got out of my editing. I have edited this picture pretty heavily in my opinion. This is what the original picture looked like. So all I did to see that, by the way, is just click the little backslash or forward slash. I don't know what the difference is, but it's in between the delete and return button on Mac, and it goes back and forth between views. You can, if you do have one, there's going to be a little panel right here. I'm sorry, if you click view before and after, it'll kind of show you you can put it in different options as well. I just like to remember the fact that I can click right here and go between the before and after view so I can see how big of a difference it is. So just starting out with the before, there was a lot of green in this picture. I'm highly against anything green and yellow. I think they take away from the picture so much. You can kind of see that this picture is already edited because it is. So I'm just gonna kind of start with a clean slate. It's almost the same picture. For me, I have a whole bunch of presets right here that I use, that I have made from past shoots or things that I've liked. So I know right off the bat I'm gonna want to rotate the picture so it's straight. I'm gonna want to put her in the middle. There is the like grid lines, like the 1/3 rule, but I don't really like to follow it because it does help, but I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I'm not a huge fan of it. So if you hit R on your keyboard, it's gonna bring up this little panel right here, and if you go right here, you can go ahead and click 4x5, 8x10, which will make your picture a 4x5 and make it already ready in the perfect size for Instagram. I'm not gonna do that just out of easing and showing you guys everything that I wanted to. So if you have it selected, you can obviously move these in and do it that way, or you can hold shift and do it. It does it all at one time. But if you have it away from the picture, off the picture, and you click and hold, it brings up a bunch more lines, which is super useful. So I'm just gonna turn the picture and I'm just clicking and dragging and bringing to the other side, or as you can see, whichever way I turn it. So I'm just gonna make sure she's straight, and then I'm gonna hit enter. So that's obviously a whole lot better already, but I'm gonna hit R again, and I'm gonna put her in the middle of the middle square. And hit hit enter. So I have it pretty much down to the size, shape, where she needs to be. I have that done already. So if I I can pretty much go to any one of these presets and look at it and see which one I'm going to want to use. This right here is probably the preset that I use for almost every single thing, either this outside one or just the one I technically use for inside pictures, but it's just, it turns down the highlights a whole lot more than it would be for outside. So as a base, it's supposed to be very like fall, like dark and kind of feel right there. This one is a really good one. If you're not too worried about going like I did, making the leaves and grass brown, then this is a really good one. But I'm just gonna obviously edit it as basis of my profile and my feed. So on my camera, I have the white balance set to auto, so I never have to worry about it, because there's just too many different ways to do it. But if you ever want to worry about it, you click this little drop and click almost the whitest image you can find, and it white balances for you. But for me, I like my temperature to be on the bluer side. I could obviously make this a warmer picture, and you see what that does. It wasn't really what I was going for here, so I just hit Command Z and it brings me back to what I had selected. And the tint is very, very sensitive, so be careful with that. That kind of changes skin tone more than anything, in my opinion. If done correctly and you expose in the camera for every picture, you really shouldn't have to worry about this, because this is a very, very sensitive slider as well. But if, in my opinion, you should be exposing correctly in person anyway. So contrast is pretty much, do you want the darks to be really dark and do you want the whites to be really white? If I put it towards that side, you can obviously tell that the dark stuff is dark and the light stuff is light. Now where I had it, it makes everything very monotone, if that's a good way to say it. You can obviously play with these around. I kind of changed that very, very little, because of the preset that I have is set to make it look like that moody feel. The highlights and shadows are probably the two things that you'll change the most, in my opinion, once you get your whites and blacks selected and like narrowed down to where you like them. Highlights, almost for every picture that you're going to take outside, unless you have a variable ND filter, you're going to have to take this highlight slider and push it all the way down. And you can see what that did automatically. It took everything that was blown out in this blue back right here, in this blue sky, it took that and took it away. And even some on her face and her hair, because her hair is really, really blonde, it took all the shiny stuff away. Basically everything that was overexposed, it kind of took it away. Shadows, it obviously makes it more moody versus boosting the shadows. Now I'm trying to take a picture that looks moody, so I kind of have it set a little bit more bright, because I want to see everything behind her. If I were to turn the shadows down, I think it would be too dark and it would look kind of weird whenever I turn everything brown. So I just kind of obviously played with it. Whites and blacks, to be honest with you, I don't really know too much of what they do. I just kind of played with them and I've narrowed down exactly what I like. These three, okay, I'll talk about these in general term. These five are probably the biggest ones to do with how your picture is going to look on the end scale. So texture and clarity and dehaze, very, very sensitive sliders. You can kind of tell whenever I take the texture away, even just in her face, it's very, very animated looking. And if I add a lot of texture, it adds and looks super, super grainy. So I kind of have it boosted a little bit, but that's why it's only at +4, because I'm not a huge fan of high texture. Now clarity, if I turn the clarity down almost to the bottom, you can tell it looks super, super weird. And if you add a whole bunch of clarity, it looks way too fake of a picture. So I have mine boosted a little bit, just so you can see more detail in like her face and her hands and stuff like that. Dehaze is boosted. Dehaze, in my opinion, I'm not too sure what it does, but I like the fact that it makes everything it gives you like another saturation. The difference between vibrance and saturation, they look like they do the same thing, but they don't. Vibrance is the biggest impactful color in the picture is what vibrance is going to change. Saturation is changing the saturation of the whole picture. So in this particular image, green is going to be affected by the vibrance. That's why I have it very, very low selected. I didn't just leave it at 0 because I wanted to boost the color a little bit, but I took saturation and like hit it way down because I like my pictures not so saturated. Because if I were to put saturation back at 0, you can automatically tell that the picture doesn't look moody anymore. It doesn't look matte. Like it's almost a completely different picture. And just from what we've done so far, without getting into the tone curve and stuff, this is what the picture looked like before, and this is after. So you guys have pretty much seen everything I've done so far. Hasn't really been too crazy. As far as the RGB part of the tone curve, I never touch that because I would rather change it later in the actual color saturation slides. But for this, I pretty much just made an S. Some people call it an S curve, a tone curve. If you make an S and just get rid of the like highlights right here, this is all the shadows and highlights pretty much that you're going to be influencing on the picture. You can kind of tell in the sky that the sky is a little more washed out and now it's got more color. I don't want the sky to be super blue because it's supposed to be a moody picture. So as long as you just kind of make this S, in my opinion, you can change these at every point. You just click and add a point and make this S, and you can move them up or down, side to side. You can do whatever you want to do with it. It's all basically off what you like. So now is going to be where you get to have a little more color options and make the picture how you want it to look. Each color right here has a hue, a saturation, and a luminance slider that you can put on there. The hue is going to make it everything from the most red to the next color. So for green, it's going to be, I can make everything in the picture green look more yellow, or I can make it look more baby blue. I am not going to change the red or the orange because orange is going to affect her skin tone and I don't really want to do it. I'll show you guys. So if I add more saturation to orange, you can tell that she looks way more tan than she did before, which isn't a bad thing. So I'll just go ahead and boost it a little bit. There's no real true yellow in here. I can kind of take some of it out because you can tell in the grass it automatically changed it. And for green, I'm gonna take the green hue slider and slide it over to yellow, and then from that I'm gonna take the saturation out of it so it looks like it's dead grass. So I'm gonna add some more saturation to the yellow so it looks more brown, and the luminance is pretty much you're adding a brightness and darkness filter to one color. I'm gonna boost it a little bit so it looks, not as fake grassy as it needed to be. If you change anything with blue, it's gonna automatically mess with the sky, and I don't really do that too much because I don't really like making the sky look very fake. Sometimes I can do it. I mean, you can do crazy things with it. I'm not a fan of doing that, but if that's you, then by all means go ahead. It's there for a reason. So if I'm gonna go ahead and I like this picture, this is the before of what we started with, and this is the after. So it looks really good. And the fastest way to do this, you can tell now, this is the preset that we had, that we put on here, and this is what we've done to it. So if you want to make this easy, if you go up to the very top of presets and click the little plus, you can obviously do these three options, but if you click create preset, now you can add these to any kind of preset name you want. You can just make this field preset, and I have everything selected. You don't have to do that. You can select certain things if you want to and just click create. So now from user presets, we have filled preset already done. So I like this picture, so I'm gonna click 5 on the numbers, so that way it gives it a 5-star rating, and I'll show you in a second what that means. So if we just go through, so this picture right here, if we automatically just go to our filled preset and click on it, pretty much everything is done. Now I would take some of this blue out from the background some, make it like a little less saturated, so it's not just, hey, look, blue. But that picture looks really good in and on itself right there, so we can go ahead and give it a 5 and move on. So if you see right here where it says filter, if you were and you go to this little drop down menu and you click rated, everything that is 1 star or higher, and you can select it, you can go through and give everything different ratings, 1 through 5. Everything that's going to be 5 or higher that I put on there myself is going to automatically be put right here. So those are 2 ways to help out, is to create your own preset and then just click through and apply it, and then you can go through and change the different sliders as far as what you're looking for from the picture, and you don't have to use the same preset over and over again. If you make very minuscule changes to the preset but you don't want to change the whole preset, you can just go here and click copy, and if you want to select certain things and then click copy, go to the next picture and then click paste, and it'll automatically do it for you. Obviously that's the same filter, so nothing really changed but the blue background just now. That way you don't have to change your whole preset, you can just change like 1 or 2 things. So real quick, I'll kind of talk about these things up top. This first little square thing right here, this is actually what we're doing for crop. This is the like whenever you hit R, this is what it's doing for you. The spot removal, I'll actually show you guys a picture where I did use it, and I'll show you how it works. So this is the picture. The next picture is what I used it on, so you can kind of see where I used it already. There was a huge power line right there. This is the picture, and also what I was talking about, it being washed out. So there was a huge power line right there, and all I did was I applied my preset, and then I went in and used this tool. So I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So you can zoom in just by zooming in on your mouse, and you can make your slider bigger or smaller by just clicking the size and the feather. And obviously if you're doing this, I would leave the opacity at 100%, but just have your tool and just draw over where you want it to, and it'll automatically put it somewhere that it thinks it needs to be and matches up. You can take it and move it around and kind of see based off of where you think it needs to be. And then I'm going to increase the feather because it's a very thin little wire, and from that it made my initial thing too far, so I just kind of push it to where it levels it out. And you can get super detailed with this. I'm doing this very quickly, but then just click it again and click out of it, and automatically it looks so much better without having that giant power line in your way. It's something very subtle that probably no one's going to see if they didn't know it was there, but it makes the picture look way better just for 30 seconds of work. So the graduated filter, all you do is you just click and drag from the top to the bottom, and it's going to give you a whole bunch more options. Pretty much it's just letting you change a certain area. People use it, and I'll kind of show you, people use it to drag it around and take away all the exposure from certain parts and kind of add your own vignette basically, and affect the way certain parts of the picture look. Everything in the red is what's going to be affected by the graduated filter, and just click out of it, and you can kind of tell now that all the focus is on her in the middle because everything else is darker. That's just what people, I rarely use it for that. I use it just kind of to help my sky be a little bit different. I never use this radial filter, not too sure of what it does to be honest with you, but this brush tool right here, I'll kind of get a better picture to show you. So if you have this brush selected, you can just hit K to select the brush. All I did on this picture was I went over her eyes and her teeth, and I made them a little bit brighter, like not even one whole like up a brightness, and it made her eyes pop a whole lot more. And whatever you do to it, you can definitely tell that it's a huge change. So it's very sensitive, and whenever I hover over it, everything that's red is what is that I worked on. So there you go. Though there are some good tips how to make a preset and just a better way to work your pictures through a whole lot quicker, because money equals time. So the faster you do things, the faster you can push them out, the more money you can make from it, the more you can push them on your social media, because you're doing it faster, you're getting a faster workflow. And in my opinion, a lot of people don't use Lightroom Classic, and I think Lightroom Classic just is a whole lot better of a software in my opinion. It's just kind of easier of a software in my opinion if you're just trying to mass edit pictures and you have a lot of pictures to go through. So that's why I choose this, and it does back it up for you, and you can have all these cool presets, and you can just have a faster and better workflow. So that is it for this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the little bell so you get notified every time that I upload a video. If you guys have any questions, make sure to comment down below. I'll try my best to answer the question for you, and your question might even wind up being a 6-minute Saturday. So that's it for this video. Peace out, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.